The Sega Dreamcast is one of my all-time favorite consoles, but its controller is not one of my favorite controllers. Most retro consoles, even modern consoles, I typically prefer to use its original controller, except for the Nintendo Switch, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, like the Super Nintendo, I prefer to use the Super Nintendo controller. The Nintendo 64, I prefer to use its original controller. Now, if a company makes a controller, a third-party controller in, this day and age that is very similar, I may gravitate towards that because, yeah, it's very difficult to get original controllers from, 30, 20, 40 years ago that are in really good condition, right? So that's where, these companies like Retro Fighters come into play. But with the Dreamcast, I just never really liked this controller too much. It was okay, like it got the job done, but with this system, like being like an arcade at home, with so much that Marvel versus Capcom 2, Street Fighter 3, stuff like that, like why did Sega go to this, right? Like it was just kind of weird. You had like this is almost like the Saturn 3D pad, but just taking a step backwards. You had two buttons up here, two buttons up here, like down here, but not six face buttons like the Saturn pad, the 6 button Genesis pad. It just didn't make sense. Why the hell did the Dreamcast do that? Why did Sega do that? I didn't get it. Maybe because the VMU, they didn't feel like they had enough space. I don't know, man. It is what it is. But back in the day, there were companies who did make 6 button face button controllers, and Retro Fighters, they're coming out with this bad boy right here, the D6. And it's a wireless gamepad for the Dreamcast, Switch, and PC. My main focus here, I could care less that it works on the Switch and PC, but I mean, maybe you care about that. Me, I care that it works on the Dreamcast because this is like what, the ASCII pad that has 6 face buttons? It looks like it, right? And it's like a dream come true, man. Like I kept buying those ASCII pads, importing them and whatnot, and I kept getting ones that were messed up and they weren't wireless, right? Like, so they were wired, which is fine. I don't have a problem with wired controllers, but with Retro Fighters putting this out, it was like, sweet dude, a new version that looks like that controller. Like I'm down in it. So I was excited. They sent this to me for a purpose of review, checking it out, that kind of thing. You guys have followed me for a long time. You should know that when it comes to Retro Fighters, while I have liked a lot of their stuff, just because they send it to me for purpose of review doesn't mean I'm just going to blindly be like, yeah, it's amazing. There's been plenty of things where I'm kind of mixed on with these guys. I mean, that's where I got my start with them, was their original Nintendo 64 controller. I had like, a few issues with, but it kind of evolved from there where they took some of my criticisms with that and wound up fixing things. And it seems like, over the years, they've been getting, I think their quality's been getting better. They've been doing like better D-pads, the membranes for the buttons and stuff. I think each controller they put out winds up being a little bit better, but holy crap, dude. And I'll be straight honest with you. Like I've used every single control. Oh my God, they put a pin in here. I missed their keychains, the little Retro Fighter keychains, but they put a pin. Got some flair up in this ish, dude. I don't know what I'll do with that, but that's kind of cool, dude. Get a little manual that's going to tell you like, all sorts of other stuff. And then you get your Dreamcast thing, VMU wireless receiver, USB receiver for the Switch and PC, and then a braided charge cable. Nice. So we're done with that box, right? Oh my God, I'm hoping this D-pad is great. I'm really freaking hoping, dude. It's got like a little clickiness. Oh my God, dude. That feels like it does not feel as clicky as a Neo Geo Pocket stick, or the D-pad. It's not a D-pad, but the stick on a Neo Geo Pocket, but it has that clickiness and it's not as clicky. Can you hear that? Dude, that is freaking dope. I hope it registers well. That is slick, dude. What were all the features? I didn't even look at the features, man. 6-button fighting gamepad style tactile scale switch buttons. Okay, so is that going to be for the D-pad as well, probably? 2.4 gigahertz wireless, multifunction D-pad. You can change it to, you know, the stick if you want. Supports true CZ button support, LR mirroring, VMU, 8-bit mods VMU Pro, integrated rumble motor. Sick, dude. So it looks like the receiver's pretty much the same as their old one for the Striker DC. See how the VMU fit is in that. Just fine. Get that in there. Power on. Okay, so that's the pairing button up here. They got the buttons for the Switch and everything if you need. So I've been using the Retro Fighters D6 quite a bit since earlier in the video. I kind of split it up recording this. And I've really been impressed with this thing. This D-pad, my God, it's got to be one of my top favorite D-pads for, you know, fighting games ever. It's freaking ridiculously good. I know earlier I mentioned the Neo Geo Pocket, like D-pad analog stick. And it just kind of reminded me of that just because of the clickiness. And I know some people think that clickiness is obnoxious, but this is not anything like that. It's just because it clicked a little bit, it reminded me of it. But it's not that clicky. It's just I could feel it and slightly, like, kind of hear it a little bit. It's not crazy loud or anything. It just minorly reminded me of it. It just feels so damn good and it's responsive. Latency wise, I know they have the latency numbers listed on their website, but it feels really good to me. So no complaints there. Buttons with those Kale micro switches, everything here feels great. The weight behind it. If you want to change the D-pad to like left stick or right stick, if you want to use this on a Nintendo Switch or PC, you know, or Dreamcast if you need it for the left stick, you got those options, right? This thing, you know, Retro Fighters, you know, they got fighters in their name. So to me, this thing is more suited towards fighting games than the Dreamcast. So that's really what I focused on using it on. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm going to be buying another one as soon as I can. I think they had pre-orders up for these for a while, and they should be launching, I believe, in the next month or two or something like that. So they'll be back up in stock on places like Stone Age Gamer, Castlemania Games, Retro Fighters site, you know, themselves. And they have a this color and then black. So I'm going to most likely buy a black one. That's how much I like this damn thing. There's a bunch of like little options you have, like this button mapping alternate mode where you could swap the LR, CZ buttons around for different inputs and stuff like that. So alternate modes, different things like that. It's a really cool controller. It's not going to be you know, your everyday controller for the Dreamcast. You know, like I said, it's more suited for fighting games in my opinion. This is something I've been looking forward to, and it tickles it for me. It really does. It really freaking does. So highly recommend this one. I think it's sweet, dude. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Bye.